what are these Terrifier movies all about? Why do we care about them? Basically, the way I look at it is they take the slasher formula, which is not a complicated formula. Like step one, establish a threat, some weird guy with a mask. Step two, spend some time with characters so we connect with them while man in mask looms in the background. Step three, the two forces meet. Because we care about the characters, we're now frightened for them. This movie basically takes that formula, perfects it, and then just turns it up to 11 because it spends a lot of time with the characters. They make it feel pretty grounded. You would like that aspect of it. You would like nothing else about these movies. Daniel doesn't like horror.
I like Scream.
But this doesn't do what a lot of slasher movies do, which is get really silly and make it all just eye-rolly. You don't buy any of it. So it tries to make things feel pretty grounded. And then when the villain, Art the Clown, actually attacks, that's where they turn it up to 11. I have now seen things that I've never seen before, and I can't get them out of my brain. It's disgusting. It's gore beyond gore. I'll give you a small snippet. So mild spoilers for Terrifier 2. Unplug those ears. What a baby.
I don't want to hear something that I'm never going to be able to get out of my head.
I'll say it in a kind of vague way. Let's say that
I have a good imagination.
A certain wound, not a lethal one, shockingly not a lethal one. Certain wounds are inflicted on this poor woman. And then Art the Clown grabs some like bleach and just starts pouring it, like literally pouring salt on the wound in the middle of this like gruesome, yeah, exactly, guy incognito. Salt!
Wait, is it literally salt or it's bleach?
I think it was a little bit of both.
Because the salt, I guess, because it's like little mini pieces of rock, right? So that would really hurt.
I mean, it's a saying too, salt on the wound.
Yeah.
I heard someone talking about this movie earlier today, and they were saying how the movie never loses that spirit of fun. Like, it's not the kind of movie you watch and have to take a shower after. It's not mean-spirited.
Really?
And to be honest, that is not the vibe I got at all.
You did get mean-spirited.
Yeah. I mean, not in a bad way, I guess. Like, there's definitely some fun to be had in the movie. But one thing I think the movie does well is that it takes this insane concept of Art the Clown and kind of takes itself seriously, which I think is part of what makes it so effective. It also does some weird supernatural stuff, which I thought was fun. And Terrifier 2 improved on the first by doing an even better job of developing the characters. Like, you actually care about these characters, and you want to see them persevere in the end.
Isn't it crazy to think about, like, I don't know, when I hear stuff like that, it just makes me think, like, it is crazy the levels to pain that are possible. Like, that is just, like, messed up.
Yeah, I asked Adam. I was like, is there a plateau where you just can't go above a certain level of pain? Like, it eventually maxes out. And he's like, I don't think so.
Yeah, because the other thing, too, is, I mean, there's the physical sensation of pain, and then there's, like, the experience of suffering, right? And the point is, those are different things, because sometimes, like, for certain people, like, different physical sensations can lead to suffering, right? Or different physical sensations can lead to happiness, right? Like, there is somewhat of a disconnect there, but you have to imagine that an extremely painful situation that is also like disfiguring you or something could lead to insane levels of suffering because you're thinking about what it's doing to you, right? Like, so I got to imagine, I don't know that there's a plateau to like suffering. Like, I think suffering has like no limits, and it's pretty messed up, these movies that kind of explore that, right? Like Saw and stuff. Like,
Daniel's
I don't know, like,
bits next week. I'm going to bring a bag of salt, and we're going to put these theories to the test.
Like, I have no interest. I have like intellectual interest, I think, in sort of understanding it. Like, I think it's important to explore the darkness sometimes, but for my entertainment, I don't want to go watch a movie about the limitless black hole of suffering.
When I was a kid, speaking of salt in the wound, and then I have something on that too. But speaking of salt in the wound, visited Israel when I was younger and swam in the Dead Sea. And what that sea is famous for is there's so much salt that you float. Like, you float right at the top of the water. But I was a larger child, and so,
So you didn't float?
No, I think the issue is that when I was walking, my thighs were chafing all the time. So when I got in the water, it just stung like hell because I guess they were irritated, and I like ran out of the water screaming. But the way you look at me when I talk about horror, that's how I look at you when you talk about jumping out of an airplane. Like, to me, that is so unappealing. But I think what you enjoy about it is you are basically tricking your body into, I am dying. Like, I'm about to hit the ground and die. And that creates a big rush. And then you live and it feels great. Horror movies, part of the fun is that they essentially do the same thing. They activate the fight or flight instincts. You get the endorphin rush. You feel afraid, but you have control over how afraid you feel because you can remind yourself, I'm watching a movie. You can pause, get some chips, and then the movie ends and you walk away and you're fine. Except for people, there have been stories of people that had heart attacks during like The Exorcist. They didn't walk away.
So that's right. Like I do like thrill-seeking things, like jumping out of planes. But I guess I like those things when it's accompanied with like a physical experience, like where I'm actually doing something. For me, it's very unpleasant to like just sit down and experience it. I guess to me that feels more like anxiety than like the rush of doing something like exciting.
You bring yourself into an anxious state and then you walk away, thereby proving to your brain, I can handle the anxiety. You're working that anxiety muscle.
I don't want to work my anxiety muscle.
And I haven't even said it yet, but Terrifier 3 was announced. Writer-director Damien Leone and producer Phil Falcone will return to oversee the continuation of the franchise. That's how all the articles are reporting it. The one thing I don't love there is they say writer-director Damien will oversee the continuation. I wish they said he will be writing and directing, because that makes it sound like maybe he's going into an executive producer role. He's overseeing it. This is a movie that has a unique feel to it. And that unique feel comes from somebody with a vision. So I will be pretty disappointed if we find out he's not directing. They haven't said he's not, but just the phrasing makes me a little uncomfortable.
It's an AI they trained off of his movies.
David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Clown, and Lauren Lavera, who played Sienna in Thriller 2, are both expected to return. And the other exciting thing is that it's getting a much bigger budget. So Terrifier 2 had a $250,000 budget, and then it made $15 million. So that's fantastic. So what do I want to see in Terrifier 3? The first thing I'd say is that Terrifier 1 and 2 both were essentially the same formula. They're just doing the slasher thing. Terrifier 2 pushes the envelope a little bit, does some different things. I want to see more new things in Terrifier 3. Most slasher franchises, when they try to evolve the genre, they have a hard time doing it. Scream evolved the genre. It introduced the whole meta concept, brought some comedy in. Halloween tried to evolve the genre by doing very strange things, and Halloween 5 and 6 especially didn't work at all. But if anybody can pull it off, I think it's Damien. Last thing I'll say about Terrifier 3 is I do think in terms of evolving the genre and doing something different, I think it's a good sign that they're bringing Sienna back. She was the main character in Terrifier 2, because it's hard to imagine they would just put her into a new friend group and they're like, uh-oh, Art the Clown is back. Let's do the same story again. And also, without spoiling anything, if you see how things left off with her in Terrifier 2, it definitely seems like she's set up for more interesting things than just another face-off that would be just like the face-off she had in Terrifier 2. So I'm excited for Terrifier 3. I know you're not. I know some of you probably are, but let me know in the comments what you want to see in Terrifier 3.